Welcome, 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 and thank you, thank you, thank you. This is Matthew. This is MattTv, live from White Rock, British Columbia, and this is those few words that I just uttered. I have not said those in a long time. Really excited for the program that I have here this afternoon. In just a couple of moments, I will be speaking with two paranormal investigators from the Illinois area. First, I'll be speaking with Nick Mulae, and then I will end the broadcast with him and continue the paranormal conversation with Tom McNicholas, who was also good friends with Nick. So two paranormal investigators on MattTv here in just a couple of moments. I see Nick Mulae is watching right now, so just hang tight, Nick, and I'll be with you in just a couple of moments. A few things I want to talk about before I get to my guest, and this is something that I just like to call saved. And everything that you are about to hear, I have just picked up off of Facebook, including the questions that I have prepared for Nick and Tom. And really, you don't have to be into the paranormal, or you don't have to be an investigator to enjoy the conversations that I will have. It's basically just an opportunity for you to get to know more about paranormal investigators Nick Mulae and Tom McNicholas. So looking forward to having those two individuals on the broadcast here in a couple of moments. I may ask Nick to join the broadcast, or I may have to bring him into the broadcast. All my broadcasts here in White Rock are originating off my iPhone. So I have a full battery, so I'm good to go. Just a couple of things I want to talk about before I get to my guest, something I like to call saved. And really it's just to shout out some things that I've picked up of Facebook. And I just want to give some shout outs. So congratulations to the senior baseball team in Chatham, the Chatham Ironmen. Chatham is in New Brunswick. They are on their way to the national final. And a big thank you to Nathan DeLong, who is putting up post, so you can follow along. And I think I got the story off the Telegraph Journal. So if you are a subscriber to the online Telegraph Journal, you can follow this journey of the Chatham Ironman. So congratulations, and you're one step closer to this national championship. So good luck to the Chatham Ironman. Also, big congratulations to a friend of mine, even though I have not seen Ryan Farrell in many years. Pastor Ryan Farrell, a native of Woodstock, New Brunswick, who is pastoring at a church in Nakawik. 10 years as a pastor at the Nakawik church. So congratulations to Pastor Ryan Farrell and all his family. Keith Robinson made that note this morning. Keith goes to the church where his good friend and former high school classmate is now a pastor in Nakawik. So congratulations to Pastor Ryan Farrell on your accomplishment. Speaking of Keith Robinson, his wife, Tammy, put up a post this morning reminding everyone that we're 4 months away from Christmas. You can hear Zorro barking off. I'm just here in my garage in White Rock, so we have a teacup Chihuahua Zorro who is fulfilling his daily bark quota. Hey, Zorro. Chill out, bud. Thank you. So Tammy Robinson making a post this morning saying we are 4 months away from Christmas, and she is on a health plan. She put this up here on her own Facebook page, so I have no problem in saying that Tammy has lost 15 pounds since May. So continued help to Tammy, and thanks for the reminder that Christmas is just around the corner. Thank you so much. This is a story that happened out here in Richmond, BC. I think it was like within the last, the story broke last week because the individual waited a month to tell everyone the news, but I think he was a retired fisherman in Richmond. I think he was like 60 years old. Just within the last couple of months, won the largest Lotto Max jackpot here in British Columbia at $60 million. $60 million. And they asked him what did he do? What did he do first when he found out that he was a $60 million winner? He said he had a shot of whiskey. So my question to you, if you were to win a big prize, we'll just keep it with money. If you were to win a big pile of money, what would be your first reaction? Aside from calling all your friends and family, what would be the first thing you would do if you won $60 million? Would it be taking a shot of whiskey or whatever was close? Whatever was close. So If you're just joining the broadcast, I will be speaking with paranormal investigators Nick Mulae and Tom McNicholas just in a couple of moments. But I'm just doing something right now. I'm just making things aware to you, and in particular those back on the East Coast. I was talking about Nakawik here just a few moments ago. Nakawik back in the news. It seems that wrestling, or wrestling, whichever way you want to pronounce it, is returning to the Nakawik area after a 25-year absent. So that'll be great. Leslie, welcome to the broadcast. I see Simon McGinnis watching from Conception Bay South, Newfoundland. How are you, brother? This is pretty exciting news. My cousin Sherry Lynn is married to Justin Sapir. And what is so cool? Well, I'll just tell you what's going on right now. And I put a link up on my own Facebook page. So if you want to know more about what I'm talking about, Justin Sapir is a very, very talented wood carver. And he is going to be coming out here on the West Coast in October. So I am making arrangements with my cousin Sherry Lynn to see them, because the exhibit that he will be a part of is on Salt Spring Island, which is part of the Southern Gulf Islands here on the West Coast. So looking forward to possibly getting together with my cousin Sherry Lynn and her husband Justin Sapir sometime in October. But here's the really amazing thing. Justin Sapir, I actually knew Justin before my cousin was married to him years ago, going back to when I was in my early teens playing baseball. Justin played for Nashwauk Sis, which is just outside Fredericton. So I played ball against Justin way before he ever knew my cousin Sherry Lynn. And the first time I saw him, I think it was my grandmother's 80th birthday. A few years back, we had a celebration at the farmer's market in Woodstock, New Brunswick. And that's when I first laid eyes on Justin walking towards the building with my cousin. I'm like, what's going on here? I recognized this guy. Come to find out that they were, I think maybe at the time they were engaged, not necessarily married, but so happy to have Justin Sapir a part of the Grant family. Something very cool here that Andrew Garnett is doing. It seems one of his summer projects is complete. He just built himself an area. Looks like there's a barbecue in there, but he says it's a new area where he can listen to the Boston Red Sox game. So if you have completed any renos this summer, congratulations, you're done. And now you're just ready for your fall list of things to do. Getting to my guest here just in a couple of moments. A couple of other things I just want to mention. The Heartland Covered Bridge, the iconic, historic Heartland Covered Bridge in Heartland, New Brunswick. It seems like it's going to be featured on a stamp. Canada Post saying that the Heartland Covered Bridge will be a part of the stamp collection. And that's all I really know. It's probably an older story, but if you have any more information on when the Heartland Covered Bridge, when we can get that on a stamp, if you know, let me know so I can pass it along. Yes? All right. Okay. That was just some things I wanted to talk about called Save. Just a few things, just going through Facebook today. And yeah, so I'm just bringing top of mind awareness, I guess. Top of mind awareness. So the stamp is already done. Okay. Now, I'm just wondering, you say that Tammy took pics of it. Did she take pictures of the stamp itself? Or was she the photographer for taking a picture and then having that image put on a stamp? I'm assuming it's probably she just had some stamps and took pictures of it. I will probably have to go online and see that for myself. Yes? Okay. We're just afternoon here on a beautiful sunny afternoon here in White Rock, British Columbia, this 25th day of August, 2019. My name is Matthew, and this is MattTv here on Facebook Live. Nick Mulae is going to be my first guest. So Nick, if you're able to, and here's the thing, if you want to be on this broadcast, I'm doing all my shows on my iPhone. You need to be, well, you don't necessarily need to be, but you need to be on a device where your Facebook Live you'll be able to engage back and forth with me. So, Nick Mulae, if you are still in here, just give me a thumbs up and then try to invite yourself. Send an invite to me where I can bring you into the broadcast, or I'll scroll back and hit on your name. And again, I'm just following all the prompts, simple commands on my iPhone. Okay, so Nick is still here, obviously, because he's my first guest. That would be, you imagine if he wasn't here? Okay, so Nick, I'll just give you a couple of seconds to see if you can invite yourself. If not, just let me know in the comments, and I'll just scroll back, and I'll bring you into the broadcast. And here's how it's going to work. I have a series of questions. Though they've been official Heartland, they had an actual stamp there, I think. Okay, thanks, Leslie, for the update, and always appreciate the live views. So, Nick, if you can, invite yourself to the broadcast, or I'll invite you. But all I did for both Nick Mulae and Tom McNicholas, just this morning, I went through their own personal Facebook page and just found a series of topics, some talking points that I'm going to share with you. So again, like I said from the very beginning, this is an opportunity for you. If you have no idea what goes into being a paranormal investigator, or you have no idea who Nick Mulae is or Tom McNicholas is, I'm going to give you the opportunity to gather all that information here in just a couple of moments. So here's what I'm going to do, and pardon my fingers, freshly clipped nails, so there's nothing disgusting except for fingers up close. So I'm just going to scroll back in the comments because I know Nick is in here, and I'm going to invite Nick to the broadcast. So pardon my fingers. Okay, here is the issue, Nick. It's telling me when I hit on your name, it's not giving me the option to add you. So there has to be something on your end. Sometimes it's just a matter of your phone not being in the right position. When you record things on your iPhone, it's always best to flip your phone to the side. The only person that I'm able to connect with right now is Leslie. And I don't know if Leslie knows anything about paranormal investigations. I guess we could probably bring her on the show if she wanted to, because I know Leslie has done her own stuff on Facebook as well. So Nick, again, I don't know what device you are on. We've never had this issue before, but if you are on an iPhone, you just have to make sure that your device is on the right settings, or this is just not going to happen, man. It's just not going to happen. I should mention this piece of artwork right here is probably, it's got to be almost 20 years old. This was done on rice paper. It was something that I purchased when I was in Whistler. So we're going back at least 19 years. And it's still in really good condition. The only part that's a little bit frayed is at the top, where I keep taking the tacks out and putting things in. But well, we're just going to wait for Nick for a couple of moments. This is live. It's all good. I'm not stressed out at all. So I'm just going to go off camera for a bit, and I'm going to bring up one of my smallest, most special friends. Yeah. Hey buddy. This is Zorro. This is my little buddy. You're my little buddy, huh? Camera shy? Hi, buddy. I love you too. I love you too. I do. He is, how old are you? He's over 10. He is over a decade, and he doesn't look it. I love you too, but I do. Zorro. He's so small, we just spell it with one R. Z-O-R-O. You're not big enough for 2 R's, bud. He's totally fixated on himself. He's in love with his image. You good? I love you too. Okay, back to the green room. Back to the green room. You'll probably just stand here and wait for me. Okay, let's try this again, because I do have a bunch of things that I want to talk to Nick about. Okay, I can add Nick. Oh, now I can't. You were here for a moment, Nick. You were here for a moment, and then you disappeared. I can still add Leslie. And I don't even see Tom in here. I don't even see Tom. So, I know, Nick, you're watching. I know you're watching, but I really want to do a split screen. I think it would be kind of weird if I was just asking you questions back and forth and you were leaving comments in the comment section. So, but I really haven't been in front of the camera in a long time. I haven't done a MattTv in a long time. I don't want to disappoint those that were looking forward to this conversation with paranormal investigators Nick Mulae and Tom McNicholas. I'm pretty sure Tom is aware that he will be on camera. I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's try this again. Pardon my fingers. Okay, I'm going to add Nick. Adding. Nick Mulae. Connecting.
There we go.
Hey, how you doing?
I don't know what happened there, but I had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's just a matter of like I'm just doing my shows here on the phone, so sometimes it's a matter of the phone not being in the right position or settings. I don't know, but the technology has allowed us to do this, so very grateful. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Life is good. Life is good.
Good.
So Tom is watching the broadcast, and hopefully, does Tom know that he will be doing the exact same thing, doing a split screen afterwards?
Yeah, you should. As far as I know, yes. Because when you told me that we had to reschedule, I basically told him that. I mean, because you weren't sure before if we were going to do it yesterday or today. So most importantly, I told him it was going to be rescheduled. So he should know that.
Okay.
He should be on.
Because he was watching the broadcast, but it's the same thing where I don't see that I can add him. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so you've been on the show many times. This is probably your maybe fourth or fifth time that you've been on the show.
I think actually my sixth at least,
okay.
because I've actually been saving the videos after we're done with the show, so I'm able to keep track.
Okay, awesome. Well, I think you are you're the person that's been on the show the most as far as a guest, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I was explaining to you in the message last night, all I did is I went through your Facebook page, and I'm going to do the same thing with Tom. I just went through your own personal Facebook page and pulled some information off of that, and we'll discuss those so people can get a better idea about who Nick Mulae is, the person, and who Nick is as a paranormal investigator, right?
Sounds good.
Okay, so last night, on your Facebook page last night, you put something up telling people that if they wanted more information on maybe starting a paranormal group or joining yours, and you call it Nick's Paranormal Force. What's that about?
So the Paranormal Force page is actually a nickname to the actual group, which is actually called Illinois Paranormal Force, or IPF for short. And it's kind of like a coalition of different paranormal groups that we created. So like we do have like separate pages for each group, but this is the one where it's like all of them come together, and I couldn't really come up with a better name, so I just simply called it my Paranormal Force. And it's basically obviously, like I said, it's ran by our team, the Illinois Paranormal Force. We're kind of like the central committee, the board, and the headquarters, and we run the several smaller paranormal sets, which there's about 3 of them so far. So sorry, my cat's running around.
Your cat's been on the show too.
Yeah, she has. I think she's looking for attention. But yeah, this whole page, I mean, I've always been amazed of how much I've done. You know, we've managed to make pretty much 4 groups, 3 working for one team, that I kind of saw this as an opportunity to expand and try to make either more groups, or, I mean, not that I have to have like a whole bunch of them, just a couple of them. That way we're kind of expanding in a way.
Is it a site where people can go to maybe get advice or talk about their experiences when they were out doing investigations?
Yeah, they can pretty much do that. It's not, I mean, the fact too about that, it's not just even for looking for new recruits. It's also for people who are interested or would like to talk about, this kind of stuff for advice. I mean, the actual paranormal pages are mainly for business, but this one's pretty much the public page to do that.
Okay, awesome. And speaking of pages, another page that you had up on your Facebook page was the Haunted Road Media, which is, I believe it's a guy and girl. I don't know what their relationship is, but
correct.
With that podcast, is it something that you go to? Is it like a learning tool for you, or you just go there to listen to their experiences?
So, for starters, I just want to say Haunted Road Media. It's led by Mike Rick Secker and Shauna Wankel. I believe that's her last name, how I say it. Shauna, if you're watching, I'm sorry if I said it the wrong way. But yeah, there are 2 paranormal investigators who they do just like what you kind of do. They actually do a show of their own. They actually do 2 of them. They do both of them on Tuesday nights. One's on YouTube, the other one's on Facebook. One of them's called Edge of the Rabbit Hole, and that's the one that I believe they do the secondary series on. And they talk about different subjects involving the paranormal. They also talk about past investigations, like if there was an investigation that happened last weekend, like for example with Spook Show Con, for example, they would be talking about that, and they would also talk about upcoming events. So it's a really interesting show.
Okay, excellent. And how long have you been a part of this? Like, how long have you been following those two individuals?
So we actually met them at Spook Show Con 2 years ago in 2017. Now, of course, obviously, I didn't really know who they were at that time, but as we started going to more of their events, throughout other parts of Illinois and pretty much now throughout the country, with all these other paranormal cons that have been occurring, we've managed to basically get a connection to these guys, and we managed to meet different paranormal investigators from again, all over the country. And we pretty much have been involved with them for about, I would say, even though I didn't get to know them from the very start, we pretty much been involved in it for about 2 years.
Okay. Images, scary images. Now, as I was scrolling through your Facebook page, a page came up called Nightmare Soup.
Yeah.
The images, they kind of jolted me. So I have a great respect for those individuals who have that in their mind and can put that to paper. Do those images ever creep into your sleep? And if they do you enjoy it?
Oh my God. I'll be honest with you. First of all, the Nightmare Soup series is actually paying tribute to an original book series that came out almost 40 years ago now, throughout the 80s and early 90s. It was the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark trilogy, which you probably have heard. Now they've recently made a movie on it. And when they were released in the 80s and early 90s, they were known for, even though they were children's books, though they still had, an age limit, which was ages 8 and up, they were very well known for their nightmarish graphic drawings that eventually caused them to become some of the most controversial children's books to ever be made. It was at one point when they came out, especially throughout the early 90s, they were banned from a few schools, as a matter of fact. And they, when you ban something like that, that actually only just makes it more famous. So these books, these were books that if you met me 10 years ago, I would have said to you, there's no way I'm purchasing those books, because I used to be so scared of them. It wasn't until pretty much about almost 10 years ago now, when I was 17, where I had the dare to kind of buy the Treasury book, which is all 3 books in one. And of course it freaked me out, as I expected, but ever since then I've been able to keep it still in a drawer, though. I don't keep it with me in the dark. But it's like a time capsule. It's like that. It's like a do not open until October, because I've read it every Halloween season ever since. And now recently, for the last 2-3 years, now there's other authors and illustrators out there who have been inspired from the original trilogy, and now they're making books like Nightmare Soup, Nightmare Society. There's actually a new trilogy that's coming out soon called New Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And just recently I saw there was another book series coming out called Scary Stories, a Tribute to Terror. And ever since then, 10 years ago, I used to I try to distance myself. Now I love them.
Okay. Before we continue, I just need to, I'm going to have a technical difficulty here in a minute. So let's just take a quick 60-second commercial break. You don't have to go anywhere, but I need to charge my phone or it's going to die, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to step off camera for a bit just to plug my phone in. So just hang tight with me, okay?
Yeah, sure. I'll check the comments to see how things are going. All right, let's see what's going on here.
Hang tight, Nick.
Yep, I'm waiting.
Almost ready, Nick.
Yep. I actually backed up for you. I said, MattTv will be right back.
Yeah, this is an older phone, and it was completely charged before I started. Now it's telling me I got 10% left. Okay, hang on here.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst. I had this issue with on another show, so I've actually know that experience.
Okay. We should be good there now. Sorry, Nick. Hang on one more second.
All right. Yeah, it's no problem.
Okay. Now I know. Now I know.
All right.
Okay. Okay, let's continue on because what we were just talking about the nightmare soup, those images. I think if I spent too much time looking at those, they would definitely pop up and yield. Well, they wouldn't be dreams; it would be a nightmare if that was coming up.
Yeah.
So last weekend, you were in a part of Illinois at the Spook Show Con that was put together by Tom McNicholas. Yes.
Correct. Yes, it was his first ever Paracon he put together.
What was that experience like for you?
Well, I will say the actual event was no different than like previous Spook Show cons we went to, but for Tom's first time, he really did a great job. You know, putting this whole thing together.
Great job?
Oh, how did he do a great job?
How did, like in your mind,
really,
how did he do a great job?
I think he was able to kind of, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong if you're watching this. I think he was able to kind of have this, like, he was able to kind of plan in advance, figure out exactly who he would want on the show. The con, excuse me. And, you know, I guess he really was able to, I guess, give enough time, you know, let people know ahead of time that we have this con coming up. This was his first time ever doing it, and he really wants to make this a success. And, of course, a lot of these people that we had were already friends of ours, so obviously a lot of them had no problem at all doing it. So that's just my opinion, at least.
Was that the same show that he was talking about when I was in Milwaukee? Is that what he was kind of nervous about putting together? Was it that show?
Yes, it was. Because even though it was... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just, like you were just saying, like, that's a lot of planning. I mean, he was already planning this in March when I was in Milwaukee. So it's no wonder that it turned out well with that much planning, right?
Yeah, and in addition to, you know, getting people together, obviously, it's a very expensive process too. So, you know, there's a lot of money involved. Excuse me. There's a lot of money involved with putting something like this together.
What was it like investigating the Egyptian theater? And what's the history of the Egyptian theater? Why is it a place to go investigating?
So the Egyptian theater, it was my first time actually going to this theater, and it was really interesting to investigate. The only issue I had while I was there is they don't have air conditioning except for the dressing room, so it was hot in that building. Although I did find out they are planning to install it eventually, just not yet. But you know, investigating was really interesting because even though we didn't really see a lot, like really anything, we got a few responses, and we actually spoke with what we believe to have been, they say one of the spirits that said to haunt this place is a lady in green, and we were able to basically get in contact with this entity. Now, in addition to her, the history of this of the Egyptian theater was built back, actually now 90 years ago, back in 1929. At that time, there was about 100 Egyptian theaters throughout the country. Today, there's only 7 of them left, and the one here in DeKalb is the only one left that's east of the Mississippi River and Rocky Mountains. Any other ones you go to, you would have to find them in Colorado, Utah, Oregon, or California. So, and the one in California was actually the only one that was built. And actually, let me say this: the reason why they built so many of them was because a couple of years prior, 1922, was when the discovery of King Tut's tomb was made public. So it inspired a lot of the theaters to give this Egyptian revival. The one in California was the only one that was built before that. The rest of them, including the Cal, was built afterwards. Now, the only other thing I know about the theater was originally there was supposed to be a hotel that was supposed to be added to the back of the theater. Now, you have to remember, this was 1929, and I'm just going to ask you a question if you happen to know this. There was a huge event that occurred in 1929. What is that event? Would you know? What do you think it is?
I have no idea.
Oh, all right. It was the stock market crash.
Okay.
So because of the stock market crash in the beginning of the Great Depression, they couldn't finish the original project. So the theater was just built in its place. And it was, of course, like many theaters in the day, it operated like it did, throughout the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. At one point it closed, but they were able to bring it back, and it's been like that ever since. But since then, the theater has a notoriety of being haunted.
Well, let's go back to, you said it was the lady in green that you communicated.
Yes.
What was that like? And how did you make contact with her?
That's what I was actually going to get to. Now, to kind of go back with the history, we believe that she was probably one of the earliest guests to have actually been to the Egyptian theater. It was remarkable because a lot of times, because what we were using were dowsing rods, which is an older fashioned technique to communicate with spirits. And this entity was very cooperative, surprisingly. She apparently said that she, I guess she must have been, she came to the theater a lot. I guess she had a husband or boyfriend at the time. Unfortunately, it sounded like that while in life, her husband or boyfriend left her. And I guess she fell into a depression. I don't think she died in the theater, but I think the reason why her spirit is still there is it's one of the last fondest memories of her. Because obviously, because I think she said she died in the 1940s, I want to say. So, since the 40s, obviously the town has changed. So there's not really too much of the original town left except for the Egyptian theater.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you, spirits, they don't necessarily have had to have passed in a particular location. Like you're saying that this lady here, maybe she didn't necessarily die in the theater, but her spirit goes there because it's comforting to her. Yeah?
It's comforting. It's probably an exciting memory of hers. And sometimes I've even heard that spirits sometimes kind of have like the vision of what the theater may have looked. If you went into like an abandoned building that was was kind of falling apart, and it was rumored to be haunted, sometimes in the spirit's eyes, they see it as the way as it originally was, 100 or more years ago, like when it was brand new. So that's pretty much, yeah, exactly. Okay. That's to answer your question.
That would be, just to put it a different way, it might be the same situation of spirits or individuals who perished during the Titanic. If they were to come back, they may be on the Titanic on its first voyage, right? In the early part, right. Not necessarily at the bottom of the ocean.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like a time travel technique, because I actually did ask when we were mentioning about Haunted Road Media, I actually asked a really good question, which is it possible that after you die, could you time travel to a particular memory that you enjoyed when you were younger? And they said it was highly possible. So really good question I asked. So yeah, it's highly possible.
Excellent. Okay. We're going to switch gears completely. Something else that was on your Facebook page. You saw a Halloween display here a few weeks ago. Is it too early? Because you love Halloween, but is it too early in August to see Halloween pumpkins and stuff?
Yeah, that was at my workplace. It's funny. I was actually getting dropped off from my parents. I was talking to my mom, and at one point, I'm like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. I see something orange over there, and we drive up, and it's jack-o'-lanterns, and it was like, I think about 2 weeks ago, so it was like early. I was like, what? You gotta be kidding me. And now they actually recently got since July, they put their Halloween Reese's candies out, and just a couple of days ago, they put their Halloween cards and candy out. I'm thinking, jeez, this is too early. We're still in the middle of summer.
Yeah, that candy is going to go bad if they put it out too early.
Yep.
This I found interesting. You're a paranormal investigator. You're into, well, that's what you're into. But is your escape like at the end of the day or at the end of the week when you're just like, ah, I just got to step away from paranormal activity and being an investigator? Your escape, I see that you like watching, you were watching Discovery Channel series on the African wildlife. Is that kind of one of your go-to channels when you need to escape from the paranormal?
So I don't really watch Discovery very often, but of course I'm not saying I don't distance myself completely from it. But in some way, shape, or form, yes, for at least a couple weeks, because you probably have seen that I'm a huge fan of Shark Week, so I watch that. I don't know whenever it comes on, but yeah, now I've been going into this new series that's called Serengeti, which is like this new. It's a new series from BBC series that focuses on African life, and of course, yes, there have been several other shows and documentaries that have documented this kind of stuff, but I don't think they've done it as perfect as they have with Serengeti, and it's definitely a good way to kind of take a break from my paranormal interest and focus on something definitely obviously real.
Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. August 12th, you had a profile picture up. I think it was the aging app.
Oh yeah.
Did you? Because everyone, I didn't do it, but everyone seemed to be aging themselves on that app, and then the news broke that you were giving your information away. Did that concern you, or are you just like, ah, it's just a picture?
No, I didn't even see. Quite honestly, I never even got word about that.
Mm,
So that was because when it. I mean, yes, I'm always careful with these apps, but when I see other people, using it, that kind of like Facebook almost. It's like I'm not. If everyone's using it, then it's not really that big of a deal then. So, but I didn't hear anything
yeah,
about the taking information away.
yeah. I well, you can't believe everything you see or hear on the internet anyway, right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
always tell
Yeah.
people to
So
do.
I was just never too concerned about it.
Yeah, yeah. What's your favorite cereal, Nick?
My favorite cereal. That's a good question. I usually like the Halloween cereal too.
Well, the reason I ask, I saw that you had put up a post of a Oogie Boogie cereal. Is
Yeah,
that
it's
that's the right pronunciation? Oogie Boogie.
yeah, yeah. It's Oogie Boogie from the movie Nightmare Before Christmas. They, for some reason whatsoever, are now making their very first cereal based on that movie, which I'm surprised they didn't do that last year because it was the 25th anniversary of it. So that'll be interesting to try when it comes out.
uh, just one quick political thing. Your leader, the work that he's doing for your country, yay or nay? Good
Oh,
job, bad job.
yeah.
You don't have to get into it too much. Just is he doing a good job or is he not doing a good job? Okay.
No, he's not. I mean, I know a lot of people would disagree, but in my case, actually, my entire family's case, no.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. One final thing. And again,
Yeah,
this is just something off your Facebook page, and I always appreciate it when you come on the show, Nick. It's absolutely amazing. I
yeah.
just love the technology that I'm here in White Rock and you're in Illinois, and we can just do a split screen. So much fun. But the end of July, you had a close call. You made a post that
Yeah.
you were almost hit by a car. Now, I don't want you to tell me about that particular incident, but just remember how you felt. Like the feeling of, I don't know, how did you feel in that moment? Without going into any great detail, like just in a couple of words,
Right.
in that moment, how did you feel?
Uh, Best way I could describe it is obviously, like anyone, I definitely felt shocked. And of course, I was like, what the hell were you thinking? You weren't supposed to even cross that part of the parking lot. So I was kind of shocked and frustrated at the same time.
Now, when was the last time, other than that situation, where you were both shocked and frustrated at something completely different? Like maybe in a good way. Something was so joyous and overwhelming that you were shocked, maybe not frustrated.
Right, yeah. I think it would have to be, again, kind of going back to the paranormal stuff, kind of like one of our first paracons we went to when we went to Ohio, Mansfield Reformatory, which was where Shawshank Redemption was. Where I mean, I wish Tom took a picture of my face when he saw when I showed my reaction. That would answer your question.
Yeah, and we talked about that on a previous show. Yeah, like you had to exit the building, right?
Yeah, exactly. You walked in and you walked out.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I always appreciate when you come on here. What's your upcoming events? What do you have planned for the next month or so as far as paranormal investigating goes?
Well, we do have another paranormal con coming up, which is going to be called Silicon. That's going to be September 6th and 7th, so the second weekend in September after Labor Day weekend. So they're usually smart enough not to put these type of events on holiday weekends like that. Um, Other than that, there's really not too much. It's going to be relatively quiet. Other than, again, I'm also having a presentation next Friday that I'm trying out for, again, when we were talking earlier about future new recruits.
Does your traveling to these different paranormal events, does it kind of slow down in the winter? Does everything kind of slow down in the winter? Just because it's too dangerous to travel, or why do the shows kind of slow down in the wintertime, or do they?
They don't necessarily, the shows don't necessarily slow down. They still continue. But as for the road trips, yes, they definitely do slow down during the winter. Not saying that it's completely eradicated. There's just not as many because, yes, one reason is sometimes it's dangerous to travel because, you got to worry about ice and
Mm-hmm.
freezing temperatures, especially if you're out in open country miles from the nearest town. But also, I think a lot of people just prefer to have a lot of these cons when it gets a lot warmer out. I would usually say probably about April is when it becomes more active, and I would say up till about early November is when it starts dying down. Then the winter, there's kind of like a break. So between April and November is when we have these cons.
Well, so that's still a pretty big window of getting out and meeting new people and going and getting the crap scared out of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was only I think there was only like one con that I did hear of that was going on during the winter earlier this year, but I wasn't able to go because I had to work. So
Okay. Uh, Nick, love you, man. I always appreciate you taking time out of your day to join me here on MattTv. Any other time you want to come on this broadcast? I myself have not been in front of the camera for almost 2 months, so it's nice to get back into the groove and nice to kick things off with yourself, paranormal investigator Nick Mulae in Illinois. Always a pleasure, Nick.
if you're ever interested, by the way, when I was mentioning about Silicon, I'm actually going to do kind of like a little project, possibly a little video project while I'm there. And if you have a chance, I thought maybe we should do a little show, again, some of the investigators like we did with Alton a few months ago. So if you have time to do it, I'd love to do it again.
I'll always make time for you, brother. Always make time for you. Thanks, Nick.
Yes.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Continue to watch the show because I'm going to bring your friend Tom McNicholas on here in a couple of moments. Hopefully, we don't have the same technical difficulty, but I don't know. I've never had Tom on the broadcast, so it should be interesting.
He'll be fine. He was on the Haunted Road Media site prior to Spook Show Con, so he's done it before.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Nick. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
Okay. Later. Bye-bye.
Take care.
I'm going to continue with our guest. Okay. Paranormal investigator Nick Mulae from Illinois. Now, I know that Tom McNicholas is in here as well, and I do have a bunch of things I want to talk to Nick about. So, Nick, if you're still watching the broadcast, just give me a thumbs up and I'll invite you to the broadcast, or you can invite yourself to the broadcast. Again, I've only met Tom once. He's never been on MattTv, so we're just going to see if we can make this connection with paranormal investigator Tom McNicholas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll because I know he was watching again. Pardon my fingers. I know Tom is watching, so I just want to see. Yeah, it's not giving me. And the reason my fingers are coming so close to the screen, if you've ever done anything on Facebook Live, you can see all the comments. You can see who was watching. So I'm trying to invite Tom McNicholas to the broadcast, and it's just not giving me that option right now. Pardon my finger. Yeah, so guest request, Okay, so it's not It's not giving me the option to invite Tom McNicholas to the broadcast. So I'll just give it a couple more moments. I'll just give it a few more moments so that you digest everything that was discussed with Nick Mulae in Illinois, and we'll see if we can hook up with another paranormal investigator also in Illinois. It's live, baby. It's live, and it is a stunning, stunning afternoon here in White Rock, British Columbia. My name is Matthew, and this is MattTv. Always appreciate the live views. If you're watching at a later date, appreciate that as well. And if at any time you like what you see in here, just share the video. Just let people know that there's a guy named Matthew in White Rock doing MattTv. I've been doing it now 2.5 years. 2.5 years. While we wait for Tom, hopefully we can get him on the broadcast. Just a quick MattTv Canadian Unity flag update. The flag is still in the Nakawick, New Brunswick area, and so much thankfulness to Keith Robinson, who is the current flag bearer, and he is working on getting the signature count up to 1,000. He's very close. It'll soon be in the hands of a distant cousin, Marcus Harvey, who will be signature 1,000. And then that flag will be making its way back to the West Coast sometime in September. I was just messaging with Keith here yesterday, and he was telling me that people are actually coming to him because they want to sign the flag. It is something to see. I don't know, maybe you've never seen a flag, maybe you've never seen a Canadian flag, and the chances are pretty good that you've never seen a Canadian flag 3 feet by 6 feet with nearly 1,000 signatures. I don't know if there is a flag out there with, well, I'm sure there are big flags out there. You see them at events, but not necessarily with 1,000 signatures on it. So again, I'm just waiting to hopefully connect with Tom McNicholas, who is watching, doing all my shows off my iPhone. So I'm just following the prompts, and whatever it allows me to do, I do. So again, I'm just going to go see if I can add Tom McNicholas. And it's not giving me the option to do so. So Tom, if you are watching the broadcast, see if you can invite yourself to the broadcast, and I will accept and bring you on. Sometimes it's just the smallest detail that will allow you to A, either get on the broadcast, or B, not be able to join the broadcast. Sometimes I don't know what device you're on, if you're on an iPhone or your tablet. I know it certainly doesn't work on your laptop, so I'm not sure. I've never had Tom on the broadcast before. I've just briefly met Tom a few months ago in the spring, in late March, when I was in Milwaukee. Him and Nick both had the opportunity. They were like our chaperones, or they took us out onto the city. We went to a spy club, which was awesome. Got my picture taken with the bronze fawns, and Tom got a parking ticket. He got a parking ticket. Man, the vehicle was parked for less than 10 minutes. And I'm pretty sure the bylaw officer was just around the corner, just waiting for someone to park there. Parked the wrong way in a cul-de-sac. So yeah, Tom slapped with a $35 fine or something like that. I don't know. So again, just waiting for Tom McNicholas to join the broadcast. Tom, if you're watching, just give me the thumbs up. And I was going to mention this, but I really like Tom's profile pic. It looks very professional. His eyes are so blue. So I'm just wondering if that is a professional headshot that was used for his profile picture. I'll just mention Tom McNicholas. He is a paranormal investigator, and he has his own thing going on called the Midnight Paranormal Society. So we'll talk to him about that, hopefully, when he joins the broadcast. When he joins the broadcast. Almost done. Okay, let's try this again. And pardon my fingers. Yeah, still nothing. Still nothing. What else can I mention that's going on right now? The Touchdown Atlantic which is a CFL game that was happening today in the Moncton area. I believe it was Montreal and Toronto. Yeah, I think it was Montreal playing Toronto. The game may almost be over. I think it was a 1 o'clock Atlantic time, so that game may be over. But a good experience for the people in the Maritimes to see CFL come to their area. I know within the next year or so, I believe Halifax has been awarded a CFL franchise team. I'm not sure when that gets off the ground. Maybe 2020, which will bring 10 teams. 10 teams or 9 teams? It's either going to be an even number or an odd number. I think there's 9 teams right now. But the CFL is expanding with a team that will be based out of Halifax in the near future. Again, this is Matthew. This is MattTv here in my garage in beautiful White Rock, British Columbia, waiting for my second guest, Tom McNicholas. Hoping he's able to join the broadcast. Me just doing my shows off my iPhone here in my garage. And sometimes I can't get a guest on because it can be something as simple as the technology on their end. If you're doing shows on your iPhone, your phone has to be turned sideways. That's just the way it is. I don't make the rules. I just try to follow them. And Jen and I were talking about this last night. My programs, I've done shows early days doing MattTv like a couple of years ago. There were times where I would do a 30-minute show and I would have no viewers. I would have no one to engage back and forth with, but the show would go on. I would do a 30-minute show as if 100 people were watching, because it's not about the number of people that are watching the show. It's about the content of the show. It's about the content of the show, not necessarily the length or what time of day, because the technology allows us, when I'm done, I'm going to hit finish and I'm going to post it on the MattTv page and you can watch it whenever you want. Maybe you're watching it whenever you want right now. Maybe you're watching it while you're preparing new carrots, some yellow beans and some green beans and some really funky lemon cucumbers. Lemon cucumbers. I think that's what Wayne Mason had a picture up this morning of some fresh, and I don't think he's ever tried the lemon cucumber, but it looks like a squash. It doesn't look like your traditional cucumber. It looks like squash. So maybe you're trying something new for the first time. I don't know. Okay, trying again. Pardon my fingers. Trying to bring in, I'm just not having any luck. I'm just not having any luck getting Tom McNicholas into the broadcast. Let me scroll up here. MattTv will be right back. Jason Purvis is watching the broadcast. I wonder if I can bring Jason into the broadcast. Let's just see. I can bring Jason in, and I can bring Twyla Adams in, who's watching the broadcast. But neither one of those are paranormal investigators, which I'm trying to interview. So maybe can someone call Tom? I don't even know if Tom's watching the broadcast. I have no idea what time it is. I've completely lost track of time. But Jason Purvis, I'm glad you're watching the broadcast. Speaking with Keith Robinson yesterday. I don't even know what part of the world you're in. I just know that you will be coming back to New Brunswick in early September. He's trying. Okay, cool. Thanks for the update, Nick. Hello, Twyla. How are you? Today would be, it's Sunday. Of course it's Sunday. There's no better time for a bumble than Sundays. Oh, how I miss Sunday afternoon bumbles. You have no idea. I have not been on a Sunday afternoon bumble in a long, long time. So all my friends back there who I used to go with, when I used to go on bumbles, the next time you go on a bumble, just picture me riding shotgun or in the back seat, and we'll have some fun. Yes, I so miss Sunday afternoon bumbles. Keep trying. Okay, Tom McNicholas. I'm gonna punch on right now. He's watching. I know he's watching. Yeah, all I can do, and this is the same thing I've done with Nick. I see that you're watching, so normally I just hit on your comments and it allows me to add you to the broadcast. But so I'm not quite sure what device you are watching this broadcast on. If it is on a laptop, you definitely will not be able to connect with me. You need to be on a tablet or an iPhone in order for this to work. That's been my experience anyway. I don't work for Apple. I just know that we've always had difficulties, sometimes on the other end. Uh, I'm gonna say the same. My last Bumble was yesterday. Love it. Bumbles. Yeah, weekend bumbles. Sometimes those bumbles can just spill on over into the next day. Just spill on over. Love you, miss you, Twyla. The next time I'm back, we'll definitely have to go for a rip. Yes? Excellent. Okay, again, I am just waiting for the technology to allow me to connect with paranormal investigator Tom McNicholas in the Illinois area. I just had his good friend and fellow investigator Nick Mulae on the broadcast. Yes, it says that you're not in the group. I understand that. I don't know. There's a spirit or something that maybe doesn't want you on the broadcast. But there is no way. I'm just wondering if there is something on your end where you may be able to on my Android. Yeah, see, I don't know how that works. The only device I've ever used is an iPhone, and I'm not really sure what most people are watching on whatever device they have. I have people that watch me on their smart TV or their Apple TV or on their laptop, their tablet, whatever device they have. But I just know from experience that it may be your settings. It may, you are the Bumble Queen. You are. And I'm one of your humble servants. Wherever the queen goes, one of the servants is like, yeah, shotgun, let's go. And you don't really care where you're going. You don't really have a destination as long you're like, well, let's see where that road goes. Well, where does that road go? I don't know. Let's go check it out. Looks like it's a dead end. Even better, let's go check it out. Okay, so again, we're just trying to get through this technical difficulty with Mr. Tom McNicholas. He's watching on his Android, turned on notifications. So I'm just going to continue, and pardon my fingers. Again, I'm just here on my iPhone in my garage, so I'm just following the prompts. I know that I'm just trying to invite Tom to the broadcast. So just let me check a few other things here. Again, pardon my fingers. Okay, here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Oh, you were here and now you're gone. You were there, but now you're gone. I'm just waiting for you to come back. I know it says that I can add Nick and Twyla. Here you go. Hang on, hang on, hang on. We gotcha. Okay, we're gonna add Tom McNicholas. Trust me, the wait is worth it. We're adding Tom McNicholas. Yes, there he is.
Hey,
Mr. McNicholas, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, good. Was that a cat I just heard?
Yeah, she comes on the phone every time I get a
Oh, yeah.
message from somebody. There she is. Say hi.
What's the cat's name?
Samantha.
Samantha the cat. Well, welcome, Samantha, and welcome, Tom. You're the first time that you've been on this broadcast, and I haven't seen you since I was in Milwaukee was it the late March, I believe, yes?
Right, when we were up in Milwaukee.
Awesome. And I'm so thankful that you and Nick made that trip up there, and, you two were the first two Americans to get your signatures on that flag, so again, thank you so much.
Yeah, we're honored about that.
Awesome. Okay, so I don't know if you were just watching the discussion I had with Nick, who's a good friend of yours.
Yeah, I watched. It's hard to compete with Nick. He's like on my Mr. Rolodex. So he knows all the stats and everything, and so it's hard to keep up with Nick.
Well, all I did is earlier this morning, I just went through your own personal Facebook page and pulled information off of that. So for the people that are watching the broadcast, it's an opportunity for people to get to know more about Tom McNicholas as an individual and as the investigator. You good with that?
Yeah, that's a pretty scary thing.
Pardon my fingers. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, you are a paranormal investigator. You have your own society, the Midnight Paranormal Society. How did that start? Just tell us a bit about it.
Well, actually, I'm part of the Midnight Paranormal Society. I have my own group called the Northern Illinois Paranormal Association, NIPA. I don't know if it's probably backwards, but that's Nick's original group, the Midnight Paranormal Society. His family and his friends, and I joined his group about 2 years ago.
Okay, this is the first time you've been on the show, so just maybe give people a little bit of background on how Tom McNicholas got into being into the paranormal and an investigator.
Well, it's like reinventing myself like every 10 years. I started out working at General Electric, and I was an assembly operator making motors for freezers and refrigerators. And when I left that job, like I said, it's like every 10 years. And then I took up scuba diving, and I worked my way into the certifications, and I became a dive master, and I used to assist people at the lake learning how to scuba dive. Then when I had a little problem with my leg and cramping, and so I kind of had to put that on the back burner for a while. And so I picked up the next phase of my 10-year change of life. I started working with independent films. And I started out working as a PA, production assistant, and eventually I worked into producing. And I got into producing. If you see my IMDb, shh, quiet, I'm on the air.
The cat wants some screen time.
Oh, she does. She loves it. Every time I'm on the phone, she's got to talk to everybody. So anyway, I got into producing, and if you check out my IMDb, Thomas McNicholas, you'll see all the credits I have on my IMDb page, and it amazes me as many of the things as I've done. I, I'll tell you, I said, I'm always busy doing something. And so as far as the producing goes, you need kind of money, and in 2018, I lost my job. And, well, almost knocked my whole phone right off the mic. Anyway, so in 2018, I lost my job, and I also picked up the Spook Show Con, and I started preparing it back in 2018 for the event that took place this following last weekend. And like Nick said, it takes a lot of work and a lot of diligence in trying to put the right people together and everything like that. I'm not into the sensationalism of the paranormal. I believe that people people take their job seriously. On TV, they don't take their job seriously. They're in for the entertainment value alone in the paranormal. So if you see a video of ours compared to a video on TV, you might be even more intrigued because it takes a lot longer, or you might be appalled that we don't show as much of stuff that they do on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it is what it is. It's the real thing. It's the real deal. I got together a whole bunch of people from the Midwest and invited them to come out to the paranormal, and they all accepted. I was flat. God, I was so excited about it. And last weekend we had the day of the event, and I had 100% turnout of all my guests and vendors. And the room looked fantastic. The room looked great. We had speakers speaking almost nonstop from the beginning to the end of the event. And then afterwards, of course, Nick was telling you that we did the paranormal investigation at the Egyptian Theater in DeKalb. And, oh, sure, now my phone's starting to ring. So excuse me 1 second. All right. So anyway, we did the paranormal investigation. We had a private night on Friday night with some of my closer friends in the paranormal field. And we went through and did the Egyptian Theater, kind of give a layout of what we were going to do on Saturday night, which was the public investigation. So we had a good time. Had 2 nights investigating. Unfortunately, Nick couldn't make it out for the first night, but he did come out for the second night. And himself, Dustin Samario, Mike Ricksecker, Shauna Wankel, Denise Pridemore, and her husband Ron. We basically had a real small group on Friday night. And boy, we picked up some activity on Friday night. The theater is undergoing a renovation, and there's building an extension to a coffee shop and a little greeting area outside the theater part. They're not touching the theater at all. The stage, everything else is staying exactly the same. The stories that Nick told were absolutely correct. There were spirits supposedly on the stage, in the dressing room. And Nick got out his little dowsing rods and started a little conversation down in the dressing room area. It was a lot of fun. So we met up with some friends on Saturday night, and I believe excuse me, Dara. I always get her name wrong. It's spelled Dara. Some say Dara, it's Dara. Dara is her name. Hi, Dara. Anyway, they all came out on Saturday night. And unfortunately, her mother had a little accident on the steps at the event and kind of hurt her leg. Fortunately, she did not break anything, but she was a little bit out of it for the rest of the night. So I felt really bad that she couldn't join us on the investigation. So what kind of questions you got for me?
Well, will there be a Spook Show Con 2020?
Okay, Spook Show Con 2020. Spook Show originally started in Chicago, Illinois, about 6 years ago, and we moved it to a town. Nick mentioned the SoCon in Mattoon, Illinois, and it stayed down there for a couple of years. Then we moved it north to DeKalb, kind of back towards the Chicago area without the expense of the Chicago area, booking events and all that stuff. Considering I was unemployed, I had to squeeze out as much as I can squeeze out of my banking account and my credit cards. So anyway, we're thinking about taking Spook Show on the road. There were some uh, different ideas that were passed around last weekend about where we should take it next. Some were saying towards Iowa, some were saying down to central or southern Illinois, and I'm taking them all pretty seriously. I should probably start planning it maybe October, right after. Well, like I said, I was still working with the independent film. I have a film fest coming up in October, so probably right after the film fest. Excuse me, November. Then I'll probably start working on Spook Show.
The film fest that you're talking about, is that the Prairie State Film Festival, and what's that about?
The Prairie State Film Festival, it actually ended about a month ago. Prairie State is basically built on filmmakers from the state of Illinois because we're called the Prairie State. And it's basically for local artists to get their films shown in a theater or in an event for people that are in the Illinois area themselves. So it's pretty exciting because you get a lot of people and then you meet a lot of people. So it's a really good time. The next event I got is called Horror Avenue, and that's going to be, like I said, November. And basically, that's films from all around the world, basically in the horror genre. And I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a good time. There's really a lot of interesting films. I've been viewing them almost constantly. Right now, I got like 48 hours worth of videos to view.
Okay, yeah, you like movies, you like going to the theater. So I just
Mm-hmm.
want you to do your best. Was it Ziskel and Ebert, the two movie critics? Remember those guys from way back in the day?
Ebert and Cisco, yeah.
Yeah. Try and draw from how they critique movies and tell me a little bit about the movie that you just saw not too long ago, Ready or Not.
Ready or not, what they would say, thumbs up.
And
Definitely a
why would you
thumbs
give
up.
it a thumbs up? And who are the types of people that are going to these movies? Like, do you have to be like uh, a big fan of the horror genre, or you just go because there's good actors in it?
Well, this one was a little different. If you saw the trailer, it's sort of like a movie that was made back, I think it was in the 80s, called Clue. And it was about like based on the board game. This one kind of
Mhm.
gave you the same feeling as the game Clue, except it had a lot of twists and a lot of it's stuff you won't even see coming when you go see it. I don't want to give out anything. The one thing about me, I don't give out any plots. I don't give out any comments other than I like it or I don't like it.
Okay. Who's the director?
Good question. I don't know the director's name.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll have to find out when in the opening credits.
There you go.
uh, on your trips, you like to make pit stops and see different locations. You made a
Mhm.
stop here, I think, on your most recent trip to Little Cubs Field. What's that
Well,
mean to
yeah,
you?
that was like I was taking Dustin, my buddy Dustin Samario home. He lives in Freeport, Illinois, and there's a replica of Wrigley Field that was made for kids and little leagues. And you go out there and you can play regular little league baseball and stuff in that, or you can rent the field and have some kind of I don't know, game, for lack of a better word. Um, I'm not too familiar with it. I've seen the signs when I went out to Freeport a few times, and since it was only about a mile from where my buddy Dustin lives out in Freeport, we just had to go check it out. And since I got Nick in the car, Nick is a bundle of new information, and this I knew this is something he was a fan of the Cubs, so I thought this is where I got to take him. We always take side trips. Everywhere we go, we take a side trip. We go somewhere.
Yeah. So you have the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago
Mm-hmm.
White Sox. So you just got
Mm-hmm.
two teams there. In Canada, we have one team, the Blue Jays. How is that fair?
You know what? You're on the western side of Canada, and you should have an eastern side of Canada, like around Toronto or something, for a ball team. So, you know what? In Chicago, it all depends where you brought up. If you were brought up in on the south side of Chicago, you're basically a White Sox fan. If you're brought up on the north side of Chicago, you're a Cubs fan. That doesn't always go that way. I've known people that were brought up in the south side, and and they're Cubs fans. So I don't know.
Are you a Cubs fan or a Sox fan?
I'm a Chicago fan.
Just in general, you're a Chicago fan. Yeah.
Any Chicago team, I'm a fan.
Chicago Bulls. Did you ever see Michael Jordan play?
I did see Michael Jordan play.
Like in his prime?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I saw Michael Jordan play. I seen some of the top players from the Chicago White Sox, so top players of the Chicago Blackhawks. You know what? I have not seen a Blackhawk game since they went in and won the Cup. Basically, the Chicago Amphitheater, or I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of a hard place to get to in Chicago unless you drive. And when you drive, you're in congestion traffic. So it's not an appealing place to me to go into the city. Now, if it was like a train that took you into the city and a bus to take you over there, it would be fine. But,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one for crowds or traffic. So I just go where I can. I watch it on TV. I got a front row seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And the bathroom's real close.
Mm-hmm.
So we're speaking with Tom McNicholas, paranormal investigator in Illinois. This is Matthew. This is
Mm-hmm.
MattTv. And again, just pulling information off of your own personal Facebook page. Just tell me a little bit about Poor Bob's Place and adult musical chairs.
Well, there's a funny story on that one. We were meeting at my brother's house one time for a kind of a block party, yard party. And I was trying to give directions to people how to find the place. So I went on Google and I typed in on Google Maps the location, and for some reason it asked me to name the location. So we have a little saying in our family: poor Bob, poor Tom, poor John. But those are my brother's names. So poor Bob, I said, well, we'll just put down Poor Bob's Place, So, and as funny as it was, that place stuck in Google Maps, and now it's considered a landmark in the city of Chicago, or a place of interest in the city of Chicago. So that's crazy.
And who ended up winning the adult musical chairs?
It wasn't. It was one of the guys on the block, actually. My nephew came really close to winning that thing at the end. You saw the video, right? So
I'm going to have to watch the video. I didn't see it. Like I said, I was just scrolling through your Facebook page. I just thought it was hilarious that you had adult musical chairs in the middle of the street.
They had the whole street blocked off, and they had like one of those air houses and one of those plastic slides for the kids and stuff like that. And we just put a DJ out in the middle of the street, and there was dancing and like the adult musical chairs.
Nice. And that was like kind of like a block party. Was it like a long weekend or?
It was one day, actually, one day. Mhm.
Okay. All right. All right.
The
Was
hard part was trying to have to find a parking spot because they had all the streets closed off, and then a lot of people didn't want to take up their spots over by their houses and stuff. So wound up having to park like 2 blocks down. Fortunately, my cousin lives 2 blocks down, and I just parked in her drive, in her
oh,
garage drive.
awesome. 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 I was
Hmm.
talking to Nick about the podcast Haunted Road Media. Uh,
Right, right.
what are your thoughts
Um,
on you?
oh, Haunted Row Media, I'm a big supporter of them. That's Mike Rixicker and Shauna Wankel. Uh, they they came out to SilkCon about 3 years ago, and I met them for the first time, and I've been a fan of theirs because when you talk to them and what they talk to you about, their stories that they talk to you about, they're like the stories that I would tell and the investigations that I would do or Nick would do. So that was appealing from the beginning because everybody wants the sensationalism. They don't like to share. The people, like at Spook Show, the people that I chose to come to Spook Show is like one big family.
Hmm.
You know, everybody knew each other there. It was like one big family reunion. So when everybody in the room knew each other and they're having fun with each other and add all the people, it's just a good time all the way around.
Excellent. Nick's escape from getting away from paranormal investigating, one of the things he likes to do is watch different programs. And we were talking about him watching the Discovery series, African
Hmm.
Wildlife. I see that
Right.
you had some pictures up at the Union Pacific Railroad. Is that something that
Right, right.
you go to escape?
Yeah, the train, it was a classic steam engine, built. Nick would tell you better than me, a long time ago, and it was making the Union Pacific track across the United States, and basically it stopped in a town about maybe 40 minutes from here. So we got in the car and we drove out there just to go and see the train. It was a sight to behold. I mean, it was a good sized steam engine. I said, my God, I said that's huge, And that we didn't say moving though, unfortunately, but it was appealing. Yeah, I really enjoyed going out there.
Was it something that you were able to get in? Were you able to go into the locomotive and check it out?
You could. They had like a little traveling museum that come with it. It was like adjacent to one of the box cars. But unfortunately, it was a very popular event and it was hard to park. And a lot of people were waiting in excess of 2 hours just to walk through it. And it was a hot day and, there's no air conditioning. So,
Yeah. Awesome. So, just one final thing, and I want to go back to movies. And again, for those that are watching the broadcast, I have simply, we've really only been talking about things that we're not hiding anything because all this stuff, all these questions and topics have been extracted from your own personal
hmm,
Facebook page. But this is
right.
something that wasn't on your page, but
Okay.
I just learned about this yesterday. The movie Nightmare on Elm Street.
Hmm.
I heard a story the other day. Are you familiar with those movies, The Nightmare
Oh,
on Elm
yeah.
Street, Freddy?
I
Uh,
think I've seen about four of them.
okay, the actor who plays Freddy, Robert Englund, who is now 74, does
Hmm.
not want to do any more Nightmare on Elm Street shows, but there are more planned. He is
Hmm.
suggesting actor Kevin Bacon to take over
Hmm.
the role as Freddy Krueger. What are your thoughts? Yay or nay, or do you have another
Uh,
suggestion of someone who might fit in?
there's nobody like the original.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you can accept. I mean, like Marvel, we had two different Spider-Mans, and how many different other characters that they kind of threw together into the Marvel universe. We accept those. I imagine people, the horror fans, will embrace the originals, but continue with the new ones, the new sequels. Yeah, or remakes. Probably would be a remake more than a sequel. You have to
Yeah,
kind of get it
the
going.
the Nightmare on Elm Street was one of the first time that I saw that show. I was at my cousin's place, and it was the middle of the afternoon, and I was only there for a few moments, and I walked into the room in the scene where Johnny Depp's character was being pulled down into the bed and then blood shot up everywhere. That was my first glimpse of Nightmare on Elm Street, and I didn't think I would ever
Wow.
want to see it, but it's like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, that was made back what 1980, late 80s.
Late 80s, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Nick, he knows the stats. He could tell you the dates, the times, and probably the open days.
He's a walking statistician.
Like I call him my walking Rolodex. But
Walking
it's good.
Rolodex.
I mean, when you do investigations, you want to have a historian that uh, knows the area and does like the research, and Nick absorbs information like nobody else. And you also need your equipment, of course, and also somebody that's a little sensitive that can pick up. You know, if something's in the corner or something's hiding or see something coming. Um, right now, with the Northern Illinois Paranormal Association, we do not have a intuitive or a psychic part of the group. But on the other hand, all the investigations we're going were with the group NIPA. So, we're doing a lot of investigations. The Midnight Paranormal Society, it started in Chicago and it kind of branched to Central Illinois with the originator from that thing. So we picked up the other half and we call it the northern part of the Midnight Paranormal Society. We got a group, I think there's 8 of us in the Midnight Paranormal Society. And basically, lately, all we've been doing is cemetery crawls, which you go into cemeteries and kind of looking around, take pictures, and find out any kind of hauntings or any kind of things that are happening. But we're hoping to get going and go on some road trips and stuff to sort of catch up to NIPA.
What do you have for investigations planned from now till, say, November, when things might get a little dicey on the roads? What are you looking forward to?
Well, like Nick said, we're planning on going to SilCon, which is Central Illinois Convention. That's going to be in about a week,
Okay.
and down there, there's it's a smaller town. Matuna is a smaller town, and we also have a town adjacent to it called Charleston, and they have a medical clinic that we investigated a couple times. It's an active clinic with a history and some paranormal activity. I do believe that they are going to do an investigation on that on the Saturday night. So it'll be the weekend, not next weekend, it's Memorial Day weekend coming up, but the following weekend we'll be down there. We'll probably do that investigation. Or we'll probably do a cemetery crawl in Ashmore. I don't know if you ever heard of Ashmore Estates. It's a haunted location in Ashmore, Illinois, and they have a cemetery down there. My friends Mike Ricksecker and Shauna Wankel, they've been down there. They did some investigations and they discovered a potential portal that brings in spirits to the cemetery and takes them out of the cemetery. So I've been trying to capture something like that on film. And what Nick didn't tell you is one time we were on an investigation, we actually seen an apparition, and we all froze, literally froze. We all had our cameras in our hands, and literally not one of us thought of taking a single picture. So it's sort of like the will of the spirit, I guess, that when you're on an investigation, if they want to be seen, they'll be seen. If they don't want to be seen, there's no way in hell that you're going to be able to capture them unless you have a camera that's stationary and recording constantly.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you think that a spirit or entity can block you from seeing them?
Well, I'm a strong believer in energy, and when you talk about ghosts, I mean, ghost term, you can't refer to a ghost as a spirit. So I don't like the word ghost. I like the word spirit. I like energy. I think of energy as a source because, like back in high school when we learned in science class that energy never dissipates, it only expands or gets trapped. So I believe that a lot of paranormal experiences are all built around energy. Like what Nick was saying about batteries draining. You said your battery drained when Nick got on the thing. Nick has a tendency to always have batteries drain every time he goes on live or when he's on one of our investigations. So it's ironic actually.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Listen, Tom. Again, I just pulled some information off of your Facebook page. That's really.
Hmm.
I didn't want to go back too far. I think I went back like a month. but I'm hoping that people know you a little bit more because you've never been on the broadcast, and I know a little bit more about you. So thanks for taking
Well,
time out of your Sunday to join me here.
actually, where we were in Alton, I got on your station. We did that little group thing down in Alton. We
Yes,
were all
that's
in,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, that was like I think I must have
that
interviewed.
was
Well,
back in
there was
June.
like 10 people there. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There was 6 of us sitting around the
Six,
table together.
and you're all good friends, right? You all like
Yeah, yeah.
so you all meet up from. You don't all live in the same area.
Well, I live about 20 minutes from Nick. He lives closer to the city than I do. I live out in the suburbs a little bit, so it takes me about 20 minutes to get to Nick's place. But I'm over there all the time. It's like my second home.
Is it? You do a lot of traveling with Nick.
hmm
Is your demeanor or your mindset a bit different when if you go to an event and Nick is not with you?
Well, yes, actually it is. I'm always thinking when I'm off driving alone and stuff. I'm always thinking about, this would be cool. We got to take Nick there, and most of the time, I have my other friend Dustin. You also had him on the show back in June too. He talked a little bit on the show. Um, yeah, when I don't have Nick driving around with me, I have Dustin driving around with me, and we go around and we find these places, and then
Mhm.
when Nick's with us and we're in that area, we take Nick by there.
Yeah.
He
But you
loves
always
it.
have Ghosty. Ghosty's always with you.
Ghosty's in my car, and that was one of the mascots from the Haunted Road Media, like Rick Serker, Shauna Winkle, and Vanessa Hogo. They came up with the Ghosty idea, and that was wild. It's a little squeezy toy, and it's like a stress reducer. You could squeeze it, you can put it up, whatever. And if anybody ever wants to check out Haunted Road Media, I recommend it because some of the videos are really fantastic, and they show you some good locations, and they do a really good job at investigating. Right now, Vanessa just came back from Ireland, and she's getting together a documentary about her travels and investigations over in Ireland, and I'm really excited about looking forward to seeing her videos when they come out. She's hoping probably rush them along. I know they'll be probably starting that about next year sometime.
Okay. Okay. Tom, always appreciate having chats with you. Thanks for the insight into your world. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Continued success with your investigations, and hopefully your Spook Show Con in 2020 is even more marvelous than it was your first time around. Yes?
Oh, it only get better.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, thanks a
Okay,
lot,
we'll
Matt.
talk later.
Take care.
Okay, bye bye. We are going to continue. Yes, awesome. That was awesome. That was so much fun. I'm just so grateful for the technology, for me to be here in my garage in beautiful White Rock, British Columbia, on the south coast of BC, talking with two, not one, not two paranormal investigators and good friends from the Illinois area, Nick Mulae and Tom McNicholas. So thank you so much for the live views. Thanks for hanging out on a Tuesday or on a Tuesday. I just said it was Sunday. Thanks for hanging out on this beautiful Sunday. Just be safe. And to all you paranormal investigators, there's a part of me that wants to join you at some point, just to see how I would make out with the paranormal investigators who are veterans doing what they do. Yes. So again, thank you so much for the live views. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for hanging out on a Sunday. And we will do it again real soon. I just love being in front of the camera. I love doing MattTv, and it'll be something that I will be doing on a much more regular basis in front of the camera. So if you would like to join the broadcast at any time, if there's something going on in your life that you would like to make public, we can definitely use the platform of Facebook Live, and even more specifically, the platform of MattTv to get your two stories out there. Dara, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thank you for the live views. Your two best buddies, Tom and Nick, just superstars in my eyes. So thank you again. Okay, that's going to do it for me. Just one final thing. My wife, Jen and I are considering doing a show together, not MattTv, something completely different. We were thinking about it last night. Is something that we have, we want to work together. We want to collaborate on a project, and it's just in its infancy. But there is a good chance that in the near future, Jen and I will be doing shows, not necessarily here on Facebook Live. We're probably going to go to YouTube. We'll be doing some shows on YouTube in the near future, but the project that we're doing is still in its infancy, just kicking around some ideas, and we'll see what happens, but definitely excited about that. Everything here on the West Coast, work is great, Jen is great, Moon is great, Zorro, baby, we're a happy five energy sources right here in White Rock, and we're all doing well. Okay, thanks for the live views. That's going to do it for me. This is Matthew. This is MattTv. Now and always, from sea to sea.